All right, everybody. All right. Welcome back. Not really the happiest of Mondays already. Back at it again. It is Member Monday on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to have it set to Member Monday for the first hour of the stream. Got to bring that back, especially now that, for the past week, because last week I was live every day, except for Friday. Wasn't much to cover. But now we're probably going to be heading to Maine. Probably going to go ahead to Maine tomorrow. Guys, what do you think? You guys think I should go? There's already protests underway. There's already a protest happening this afternoon. Probably should just get there. Just get on the ground. What up, OMG Grissa? But you already got another ICE-related shooting this morning in Biddeford, Maine. Okay, ICE shooting kills a motorist. Gotta be careful with some of this and some of this footage here. But you see the about 26-second clip, and then you can see the individual shot on the ground from ICE agents, and it appeared the vehicle was just driving slow. Same old situation. There's another video. Car driving very slow. ICE agents running alongside the door. Yes. I have people. So that's the car going in circle, and you got the ICE agent following the car on the side, right? And then shoots and kills the individual. So from AP News, a federal immigration agent shot a motorist in Maine on Monday, a second time in a week that ICE officers have used deadly force, because you had it in Houston last week, Houston, Texas. Senator Angus King of Maine said Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin told him the agent opened fire after a man tried to use his vehicle as a weapon, again, according to Markwayne Mullin, against agents who were pursuing him for deportation in Biddeford, a coastal city of about 23,000 people, roughly 15 miles, 24 kilometers southwest of Portland. He was in a vehicle, pulled out of the vehicle, and the term the secretary used was weaponized the vehicle, and it was shot by an ICE agent. And that's the same thing that Christy Nome was saying about Renee Good, which again, we have some, the federal government has turned over the case to Minnesota now. So we actually can get some accountability, and we'll get some updates on that, and I'll play that towards the end. But we got a new update on Renee Good and Alex Pretty, who were murdered by ICE agents in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis earlier this year. Mary Hayes, who lives close to where the shooting happened, said the man who was killed lived nearby with his wife and daughter. I watched a wife fall to her knees looking at her husband's dead body on the ground. Hayes told the Associated Press as she held a piece of cardboard with "No Ice, Stop Ice" written on it. I watched a little girl crying with a little pink backpack on because she's never going to see her father again. Corey Poulin, whose family runs a laundromat near the shooting, told AP that security cameras at the business captured footage of the man's car rolling into the intersection after shots were fired. Other images from the scene showed the car going in circles and bullet holes in its windshield, as you guys saw the video of the car going in circles. Official FBI pictures. 2 ICE members ran to the intersection, and another ICE member in a Ford SUV went into the intersection to stop the car from rolling. He said, "I don't know for a fact, but I don't believe he was alive when the car started rolling." He said Maine State Police asked that he not release the footage publicly. The agents didn't have body-worn cameras. And what is that? The agents did not have body-worn cameras. The FBI is leading the investigation. Okay, Kash Patel's FBI. Governor Janet Mills, a Democrat, said the state police are working with the state attorney general's office, chief medical examiner's office, and federal officials to determine exactly what happened. The question is, what did he do with his vehicle? King said. Were officers threatened? Were the threats rising to the level that justified deadly force? I'm going to guess no. They usually don't. That's what this investigation is all about, and I certainly intend to stay after it to do everything I can to be sure the investigation is as transparent and thorough as possible. I don't know how that's possible in this administration, the least transparent administration. Least transparent federal government. The man was 26 years old and from Colombia. advocates say. The man who was killed was a 26-year-old Colombian native who was authorized to work in the United States and also had a social security number. According, because you're going to have MAGA terrorists, domestic terrorists that live amongst us, just absolute subhuman losers, say that this was, well, he should have been here legally. Should have been here illegally. Right? Every time. Every single time. And then what you should do, you should have complied. Should have complied. Every single they're gonna say the same shit every time, no matter what. But regardless, I mean, here you got work authorization and a social security number. Both of them. Both of those. And then it doesn't matter. ICE agents will like run at you at full speed with a firearm. I don't care who you are. If you aren't like an absolute fucking loser cuck, you're probably not going to be like, you're going to be like, whoa, what the fuck? Hell no. What is that? Or you're not going to be like, or I don't know, you're going to like, because I don't know, people that are right wing and understand every single layer of our militarized police force, but even they don't really understand it. They just see like, oh, guy with a gun and mask and shit. So I surrender. I surrender. Like that's their mindset. Whereas most people are going to see guy with mask and gun and like run away. Because that's like the normal person reaction to seeing masked federal agents with full body armor and ability to do whatever the hell they want. They're likely gonna run. Unless they're from Minneapolis, and then they'll absolutely hold it down. It's a young family, and he was leaving to go to work. Shidham told the Associated Press. The family is not ready to identify the man or speak publicly about the shooting. We are grieving. We are furious. We will not allow his death to be treated as routine or inevitable, Shidham said. How much more harm must our communities endure before those with the power to act acknowledge this has gone too far? They did. They already did, in terms of it's already politically bad, in terms of like they got rid of Kristi Noem, and what happened in the Twin Cities was already too far, right? Like Minnesota showed the country what to do, and it doesn't seem like that really resonated. I'm just being honest. It did not, like it, except for with like the social media pages. And they're like in like social media pages, and then we'll put out like abolish ICE or like fuck ICE. But beyond that, it's kind of social media stuff. But the actual protest against ICE has absolutely dwindled. We'll see what it looks like in Maine. Probably gonna be a lot of people out there in Maine. I got video. But compared to when Alex Pretty was murdered and then Renee Good, there were tens of thousands of people in the streets, and it was -40. It was -40. It's summertime now, right? So there should be no excuse whatsoever. But for some reason, is it because it's summer and people want to go hang out, I guess, and not focus on this stuff anymore? Because it was a lot this winter. Is that what it is? But ICE has not stopped, and they continue to kill people. They continue to kill people. They continue to murder, even after Renee Good and Alex Pretty, and that was such a thing, right? They wrote songs. We had a whole deal. Minnesota was the focus, right? We all lived through that. It was just a few months ago. You know, we're still in the same year. It wasn't like that was 5 years ago, or it wasn't like that was way so far in the past to where, you know, oh, like the olden days, like that was January. You know, it just happened. So it feels like the rest of the country, I don't know, man. Like Minnesota, like I love that. I'm never leaving Minnesota, dude. I am never leaving Minnesota. But it sucks seeing like the rest of the country just not like, I don't know, man. It reminds me that if Minnesota and the Twin Cities did not respond in the way they did, it would have been worse. There would have been countless Minnesotans just killed, and who knows like how many, and they wouldn't have been on video either. because a lot of this stuff's happening. Like a lot of what happened in Minneapolis was because the community was just out there and like they were ready to go. Like they were ready. Like in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, you had people just posted up like on the corner, like standing there, and they had their whistle on, and they were out there all day. And it was negative 1,000 outside or whatever it was, and they were just standing out there. They had their coffee. Like I don't know, they had like something where they'd go and one person would go do run and like bring that person coffee or something to stay warm or hand warmers, and they would just fucking stand there and wait and see if they would see a federal agent or something. And that's what it took. That is what it took. And I'm not seeing that anywhere else. And people are wondering, like, oh man, ICE is in this city and ICE is in that city. And then my response is, well, what is the city doing? What is the people doing? What is the community doing there? You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like a lot of people around the country expect the same individuals that were brutalized by ICE in Minneapolis, which have taken their knowledge to other cities and, you know, protested amongst them or whatever. I feel like people expect the same nucleus of like people to continue going and like just that group of people and that be it. And that's not going to work, especially since that nucleus of people from Metro Surge, a lot of them have been indicted or they've had to go to, or they've had to go through court proceedings now. And they're hit with layers upon layers of, they can't really protest now because they got to beat this court case. They're likely going to, but it's still, like I've mentioned before, it takes them out of the ability to go out and protest. So they can't. But that's the real effects of the people that were out there during the wintertime. So I don't know, like it needs to be like a massive understanding of this situation, and you can't take your foot off the gas in terms of like people being aware of what ICE is doing across the country. And even, I don't know, even when like we're at Delaney Hall in New Jersey, it was such a reality to be in. And that's why I've became a little more black-pilled, because I was covering ICE brutality in Minneapolis, St. Paul, obviously where I live, over the winter time, and the whole world was watching. The whole world. The whole world was paying attention. It was like 2020 again, because it was the same thing. But then I go to Delaney Hall in New Jersey, and yeah, like for sure the people that are dialed in, right? But beyond that, I mean, was it because the World Cup was going on? Is it because Graham Plattner had a scandal happening at the time before the big one? Obviously, we had some Graham Plattner stuff, or like Hassan went to the protest one day, and so a lot of establishment influencers were heavily focused on Hassan for some reason during that time. Yeah, again, he did go out there for like he did go out there for like 20 minutes, but he's a political influencer. He's trying to get people to vote politically, not really. He's not like a journalist. So beyond that, there wasn't nearly as much attention. Besides, again, it can feel like that when you're dialed in, because we're dialed in. Like for me, like my whole platform is covering the streets now. So obviously, like I'm going to do okay in terms of like, it could seem like there's people interested. But overall, in the bigger picture, in contrast to just January, to when Alex Priddy and Renee Good were murdered, and ICE was terrorizing multiple communities of immigrants, and the same thing is happening, and like it's the same year, and we're not really seeing the moment being met with, you know, I don't know, I'm not seeing what we saw here in January. That could change now, but you have 2 major murders now by ICE in the past week, in Houston, Texas, and now in Biddeford, Maine. And I don't know if we're gonna have like such a national response to this that it requires, and it does require one. 5.3 says Nuremberg trials on ICE and everyone involved. Minnesota gaining access to shootings. Yet we'll get to that. Thank you, Trout and About. Send $2 probably to troll. Lobster Salad Fund. Thank you for that. Lobster salad in Maine is good. So the fatal shooting in Maine was at least the 9th death from an encounter with the federal immigration officer since the start of Trump administration's immigration crackdown. The reported shooting comes amid a newly intensified push by the Trump administration to carry out its mass deportations agenda. During the 5-day period at the end of June, ICE arrested more than 10,000 people. Didn't hear about it at all, though, did we? Because there's just, and it's crazy because you'd think there would be, because Maine has been under the microscope because of Graham Plattner. Been hearing nothing but stuff about Maine, but it's Graham Plattner. But here you got a massive ICE surge, and it's like, what? And nothing, no news at all about it. More than anything else, I want to know, why are you in Maine? Said Representative Shelley Pingree. They've been in Maine since last year. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows, a Democrat running for Senate, wrote on X, "It's time to get ICE off our streets." Nice. It's time, guys. Now is the time. It's not Maine's first brush with ICE. Like, literally. This was Minnesota was, listen, I'm just going to reiterate the fact I'm glad I live in Minnesota. ICE came to Minneapolis in March of 2025 with Kristi Noem. Okay, so the community in the Twin Cities was already aware that, hey, oh wow, okay, they're going to definitely bring more federal agents to Minneapolis, because they did already. And Maine has been under this before. So I'm wondering, like, are there people that are out there and they're just not getting attention? Gotta be. There's got to be people out there and they're just not getting the attention that they need. They had a significant presence in Maine earlier this year, which resulted in several large demonstrations against the agency. The Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE, named the operation Catch of the Day, an apparent play on Maine's seafood industry, just as it has done for other enforcement surges like Patriot, Massachusetts, Metro Surge in Minnesota, and Midway Blitz in Chicago. Immigration officials said in late January that they had ceased enhanced operations in Maine after hundreds of arrests. But they're back, or they haven't gone anywhere. Homeland Security spokesperson said at the time that some Maine arrests were of people convicted of horrific crimes, including aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and endangering the welfare of a child. But court records painted a slightly different story. While some had felony convictions, others were detainees with unresolved immigration proceedings, or who were arrested but never convicted of a crime. It's the same case in Minnesota, too. Trump was saying that they were the worst of the worst, and it was like, it was not. The individuals they were going after were working class immigrants that came here legally, or are going through the legal process. Which, again, I will reiterate that's why MAGA, and the actual truth is MAGA and the majority of the Republican Party does not support immigration at all. They don't support immigration at all, not even legal. They pretend like they will gaslight you by saying you got to do it legally, only the legal way, and then you do it legally, and they still don't support that. Okay, so they want to completely cut off anyone coming to this country, not legally or illegally. They just get to use the illegal one as a gaslighting tactic. ICE arrested 546 people in Maine between the start of President Trump's second term and March 11th, 2026. The most recent data available, according to ICE arrest data provided by the UC Berkeley Deportation Data Project and analyzed by the Associated Press, about 45% of those arrested had criminal backgrounds. During the equivalent 416-day period before Trump took office, roughly 69% of those arrested had criminal backgrounds, the data showed. The Trump administration's immigration crackdown received widespread condemnation last winter after the killings of Alex Priddy and Renee Good in Minnesota. Last week, ICE officer fatally shot 52-year-old Salgado Araujo of Houston after he was pursued by federal agents driving unmarked vehicles while he was taking his construction crew to their latest job site, which is what we saw in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, of ICE agents going after working class. Working class immigrants. That was the Associated Press article from Biddeford, Maine. And I do believe there's already protests underway. There you go. Biddeford, Maine is pissed off and organized a massive protest after ICE fatally shot another citizen. Wonder if there's any more. If you guys have any protest videos, you can post it into the Discord. That's the big one. I'll retweet that. See if we have Maine protest. So I should have gotten out there today. Protesters rally against ICE. Got a bunch of video in the Discord server. Nice. Got a bunch of the Discord that was posted. Was Blue Sky as a video from the Press Herald. Impromptu ICE protest in Biddeford, Maine. A picture from Blue Sky. On Threads. The organizers of the No Kings protest should be ashamed of themselves for what they did. And it is what it is. They took the reins of the massive protests and decided to end those this year for some reason. It should be a shame because you'd have had a consistent amount of chungus numbers of people like you did last year, like continuing. But they were like, "Oh, let's do the at-home concert." This is at Susan Collins' office in Biddeford.
Police are entering. Folks are going into Susan Collins' office right now. Police are entering.
I wonder if Susan Collins could hear the protest. Does she know it's happening? I don't think she knows. Here you got Troy Jackson, who's likely likely going to be the replacement, or is, for Graham Plattner.
Hey everyone, we just got the sad news that it looks like there's been yet another deadly shooting, and ICE was involved. This time it was right in our backyard in Biddeford. My heart is with the people of Biddeford, the people of Maine. They need answers. We all need answers, and we deserve to know what happened here. So we're going to go down to be with the community in Biddeford at Mechanics Park at noon. If you're able to, please join us. Hey everyone.
All right, so that was let people know that there's a protest from noon today earlier. Mainers are not happy with Collins. Demonstrators in Biddeford protesting ICE killing of a Colombian workman this morning swarmed her office. Got a lot of political drama in Maine, from Graham Plattner to now you got this situation. All right, so it looks like a protest in Biddeford. Yeah, a couple videos of it, bringing the crisis to its what? Oh, okay. So this is a post in support of the protest at Susan Collins' office. Okay, so that's at her office. Never find any more. Doorbell cam captures audio. Deadly ice shooting.
Oh, is that a car?
Jesus.
Is that a car?
How many times did he shoot him? You hear the gunshot. 5 times. You hear 5 shots. I'm not gonna play. So this video, I'm not gonna play it on stream. But they pull the man out of the car. He's dead, and then they put handcuffs on him while he's dead on the ground. You guys can catch that clip on social media. Yeah, it's going all over the place. Terrible. Appears there was a 3-year-old girl. What is this? Immigration officer. What does it say? A federal immigration man. So this is from the Portland Press Herald in Maine. Federal immigration agent shot a man in Biddeford Monday morning after he allegedly drove in the direction of the officer as he tried to flee, according to the Office of the Maine Attorney General. Spokespeople for ICE and U.S. Department of Homeland Security have not commented on the shooting, which occurred just before 7:18 a.m. Monday. Biddeford police confirmed that the incident involved ICE agents and that the police department's involvement was limited to providing security at the scene. Senator Angus King and Representative Shelley Pingree said they've learned little from the federal agencies about the shooting, and both believe agents were not equipped with body cameras. So no body cam footage. Man killed was 26-year-old from Colombia who was authorized to work in the U.S. Immigration advocates say. He was authorized to work in the U.S. Witnesses described seeing person shot bleeding from the head. Senator Angus King says FBI will investigate the ICE shooting, and he also called for transparency. There's protesters, as we saw in the videos, descending on Susan Collins' office. Anti-ICE protests grow today. Neighbor recalls seeing victim's family at scene of shooting. Biddeford woman recounts seeing victim's family after deadly shooting. A neighbor said she saw a girl she believes was the victim's daughter. She was still in her bluey pajamas. Cecilia Humiston woke up Monday morning to a commotion outside her Chapel Street apartment in Biddeford. The 22-year-old walked out and saw what appeared to be a person on the ground on Poole Street, then heard yelling from other neighbors and cries from a family in distress, which were 2 women and a young child. She couldn't have been older than 3, said Humiston, who has a 2-year-old son. She was still in her bluey pajamas. Just minutes after a man was shot and killed, reportedly by federal immigration officials, Humiston saw who she believes was the victim's daughter. She said the older of the 2 women yelled to law enforcement, "You took her dad, you took her dad." The Maine Immigrant Rights Coalition said, and Presente, Maine, identified the victim as 26-year-old Colombian man. His name has not yet been released, but the organization said he had been issued a social security number and was authorized to work inside the U.S. Humiston said she did not know the family, but her father told her he'd seen them around town several times over the last few years. From her window, Humiston could see law enforcement asking the family to stay on the scene and if they had spoken to investigators yet. A member of the family told an officer that she didn't care and wanted to leave. Humiston described the law enforcement officials as rude and said they barricaded the family's car from leaving. Another yelled at the little girl, who said she was trying to smell flowers. Several neighbors said they had seen ICE activity in the city since February. Some recall agents patrolling bus stops and stopping people on the street, but Humiston was shocked to learn about Monday's incident. This is Biddeford. No, things like this never happen here. That's the point. The terror is the point. It's to get people. That's why they have the National Guard patrolling in DC. It's not like they're gonna like they have to the federal government has to balance the political fallout of it and then also not giving a fuck. And it's like, and they do that. Obviously, they don't care. And like you got Stephen Miller behind the scenes who really doesn't care about the fallout of any of this. But because they don't have total control yet, in terms of we don't live in a dictatorship yet. We're going there, it seems, but we don't live in one yet. Um, they have to still they still have to play the game. But the terror and having masked federal agents just out in the streets and the National Guard in DC just patrolling the streets is to get the country used to it. At the very least, to get MAGA and Republicans comfortable. Because obviously people that are opposed to MAGA and Trump and leftists and everyone are already against that. But MAGA and the right wing have had to defend that now for over a year. So then it just becomes routine for them. Okay, that's the point. Because MAGA will not even argue. They won't even defend. They won't even cede that having massive budgets for masked federal agents and the big federal government getting money. Apparently, you can get them when it comes to flock cameras. And when it comes to surveillance, they'll pretend though, because they don't. They're just pretending. Like there's like libertarian influencers, and like they'll say that, but then they're fake too. So they don't really care about the surveillance state, because all of this is a part of the same funding. All of that money is part of the same thing. So you can't pretend like you're opposed to flock cameras and opposed to drone surveillance, but then you love getting funding to untrained masked federal agents just patrolling our streets from the same government. Okay, so MAGA will call out the hypocrisy all day. Being hypocritical, and libertarians too. Like anything like leaning right, I'm gonna come for your entire soul. Because it's all hypocritical and fake. Like that whole world is fake, especially what they will claim to support, but then, excuse this as if this is good. But then when a Democrat will take power or whatever, then MAGA and right-wing media will say, well, the Democrats are going to arm 40,000 IRS agents and just make up some shit, just lie. The IRS agents are coming for you and your family if Biden becomes president. That's what MAGA was saying back in like 2020, 2021. The IRS are coming and they're going to kill everyone. Which is so stupid, right? But then when ICE, another federal agency, when they get the rights to just go and kill people wherever they want, do whatever they want, it's fine. We support that. It's only bad and it's so funny because that just shows how much the right wing is controlled, because they had them afraid of IRS agents. Do you know who's afraid of IRS agents? The elite. Duh. Or if you don't, obviously, if you're not doing your taxes or whatever, then, but like they really are going after people that are committing fraud at the highest levels. So you had them scared of IRS agents. What? And if anything, now you got the right wing that's all about going after fraud. They're all about that now, apparently. Wouldn't you want armed IRS agents now? The right wing never fails to show me how much hypocritical losers they are. I used to go a day without murdering someone challenge impossible. I'm wondering if we're going to see any more protest videos from Maine. Last month, Susan Collins voted to hand ICE another $40 billion. Susan Collins. That's why the campaign in Maine is such a hot button issue. Because how many times has Susan Collins won that Senate seat? She's been holding it down for a while.
17 minutes past the hour right now. Anti-ICE protests outside the office of Senator Susan Collins after a deadly shooting in Maine involving an ICE agent. This is Biddeford, where the shooting happened about 25 minutes south of Portland. Our correspondent Alexis McAdams is reporting live here in New York City. She's got the latest details on what is happening there. Alexis?
Hey, Sandra. So as you can see here on your screen, this is a live look at what's going on in Maine. We know federal agents are trying to piece together everything that happened as witnesses tell local media that ICE agents surrounded a car and repeatedly ordered the driver
Since
to get out.
1997,
Later, we're told
that's what I was
they heard
looking up.
gunshots, and it was also captured on surveillance video. Listen to this.
Since 1997, 73 years old. Residents, I was looking at Nick Fuentes and Hunter Biden got into a fight. We'll get to that. Residents of Maine shut down a racist couple's rhetoric live on air.
ICE needs to be disbanded. It is unnecessary. It is a relatively new organization. People who work for ICE are untrained, and we want them out of Biddeford, killing people in cold blood. They need to be out of Maine. They need to be out of the United States.
Hey, go look in the mirror. Shut your fucking mouth. That's my fucking mother. I'll fucking slap your tits off. I'll fucking slap your tits off. Okay, hey, you want equal rights? You're gonna get equal rights.
Do it. Fucking do it. You white supremacist piece of shit.
Fuck you.
Look at you. Look in the mirror.
What's your problem? Fuck you.
Go take your food stamps.
You all right with innocent people being killed? What is your problem? What is your problem? Are you okay with innocent people being shot?
You're shooting people in the street.
I know that. She's here protesting with you. We're on the same side. Come on.
Right?
What are you doing?
Yeah. They're legal. I want you out here.
Hey, she's on your side. She's been here protesting
Actually,
So apparently you got, back and forth drama amongst the crowd out there. Oh, so this must be what it's from then. This is what I was looking at, by the way. I know it was on the screen, but I was looking at this actually. Here. So you guys, not a fucking game. This is what I was looking at. So apparently they fought. We'll figure out what happened there. I wonder, did Hunter Biden win? Another video from the protest. Can't stop. I might have to follow this account if they're going to have Maine protest pictures. Protest videos. So you got enough of a crowd out there. Drive-by mockery playing Ice Ice Baby, where Ice killed 26-year-old on Hill Street. I don't think so. I don't think there's live streamers on the ground yet.
Come on over.
Fucking coward!
Yeah, I was trying to take a video or picture of the spot where the man was killed this morning, which was right here. And these small dick motherfuckers keep driving by blasting Ice Ice Baby because they think it's cute.
That's all they have. That's all they'll do. They'll drive by blasting that song in their car. Neighbor tells local reporter in Maine that she's disgusted by today's ICE shooting.
What do you think about what happened here?
I'm disgusted. This is horrible.
Have you guys seen the quality or like low quality of people that support ICE though? They're like bottom of the barrel people, aren't they? Like barely pass the test of being a human being.
What do you think about what happened here?
I'm disgusted. This is horrible. I mean, the citizens of this country are literally being gunned down in the street for doing nothing, for the color of their skin. It's disgusting. It's absolutely horrific.
That's all we need. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Disgusted.
What happened here?
The 40-minute gap between the 728 a.m. ICE shooting and 8 a.m. neighborhood reports.
This officer behind me, we're on Hill Street. The officer is standing at the intersection with Bacon Street, turning cars away from the next street up, which is Pool Street. And we know that's closed. We're seeing several police cruisers up there with officers at both ends. I spoke to a neighbor who lives here on Hill Street, just a few houses down from this intersection. She told me she was woken up around 8 o'clock this morning by the sound of gunshots and then a lot of sirens and this heavy police presence. And we are hearing that ICE officers were involved in this shooting, but she told me she had not noticed an increased ICE presence or had not heard about them being in this neighborhood. She did comment that she's always felt safe here living on Hill Street and is now questioning her safety this morning. We are still waiting for more details about exactly what happened and the reason for this shooting, but those details have not yet been released.
That was this morning. Has there been a press conference yet? Anyone know if what time there's a press conference going to be? Maine Senate candidate Jordan Wood reacts. That's just a live video. Live coverage of the crime scene. Was there a presser though? I don't think so. What you have here?
Call an IFB here. Call IFB releasing any sparking outrage here in Biddeford and throughout the state from people who oppose President Trump's detentions of who ICE agents identify as being in this country illegally. Olivia Clay lives a block from where the deadly shooting took place. She told us she never heard the shots being fired this morning.
They're recording B-roll. Governor Mills holds is there any type of press conference happening?
Senator Angus King has just landed in Portland and is addressing the media on this. We'll take that.
The senator is, yeah.
We want a full, transparent, and open investigation of this matter. Now, one of the problems is apparently, and again, everything I'm saying is what I know now, different facts may come out, but apparently there are no cameras involved. Body cameras were not.
Can someone explain to me what's going on in that poster back there? I'm so distracted. What in that? Is that an AI generated picture or what is that? Acrobatic dogs? What's going on there? I don't know how you can follow this press conference. What's going on with the acrobatic dog poster?
Investigation of this matter. Now, one of the problems is apparently, and again, everything I'm saying is what I know now, different facts may come out, but apparently there are no cameras involved. Body cameras were not on the agents, and so we have no video evidence of what occurred in this case. State and local officials, of course, are attending to it. The FBI will be leading the investigation because it was a federal operation, but my belief is that our state and local officials should also be kept informed and engaged in the investigation. I also talked just 10 minutes ago to Mayor LaFountain of Biddeford, and he is also anxious to see that state and local officials are not frozen out of this investigation. It's a tragedy whenever there's a loss of life. We don't know the circumstances at this point, but my statement to Secretary Mullen, I said, I'm going to say that you have committed to me that this investigation will be full, fair, and transparent. Can I say that? He said, yes, absolutely. So that's the status of this matter right now. Of course, we'll be following it over the next several days. But as I say, I reached out to the Secretary less than a half hour ago, 15 minutes ago, and we're going to stay on this and determine exactly what happened. And that's my statement at this point. I'll be glad to take a few questions before I board the flight to Washington.
Are you confident that they will do a fair and accurate? There's prior shootings, the initial investigation differed from what the actual events were later on.
And that's why I was so explicit with the secretary. I know him from working with him in the Senate before he became secretary. I have no reason to think that he's not telling me the truth, but my motto, as with Ronald Reagan, is trust but verify.
We're so done as a country. Quoting Ronald Reagan in this moment. Yeah, let's quote Ronald Reagan in this moment. The man who is responsible for why, as a millennial, we live in this existence that we have. What do you got here? North, that's for the U.S. Capitol. Can you guys do your best to not share Aaron Parnas every day, please? This guy, like, I've never seen him do an original report ever. He doesn't leave his house. And I'm tired of seeing Aaron Parnas get quoted for work he's not actually doing. He's just good. You know what you do? You wait for something to happen, and you just be the first one to get notified on your phone, and then you post it out. And then you get credit for being the one to report it, I guess. That's what Aaron Parnas does. There's like people that have the ability to be on the street for like what's going on and like don't, but yet they have platforms as if they're providing breaking news. I'd think less of you. ICE faces test of credibility after fatal Houston shooting, from CNN.
Well, it appears neither at Houston nor in the episode today, the incident in Maine, did officers actually have body-worn cameras. And, you know, you hit the nail on the head. This is not something that's new. We've heard these cries for DHS to equip its officers. The department has blamed the recent government shutdowns on not rolling this out across the field. They say about half of their field offices actually have cameras. But this is so critical. I mean, this could actually help show exactly what happened on the scene. And by the way, I talk to law enforcement officers all the time. A lot of police and federal agents prefer to have body cameras because they can help refute bogus claims of police brutality or actually depict when an officer themselves is actually facing a threat. Nevertheless, here with ICE, we see that a lot of them still don't have those cameras. Final point I'll note here is that this isn't just a leadership thing. I mean, I'm talking about on the ground. I've talked to sources before, for example, who say that when the FBI was heavily involved in these immigration task forces, sometimes ICE would not invite the FBI agents to come with them because
crazy.
the FBI has body cameras. And these ICE agents would tell the FBI agents, according to my sources, we don't want this filmed. So there's a long way to go here culturally in order to try to help change, this sense of transparency. But again,
then at the end of the day, that FBI agent will go, okay, then they'll go tell their boss, and then their boss will go tell their boss, and then Kash Patel will trigger, and then he'll go, shh, quiet. Hey, you saw nothing, and then nothing happens. Okay, because it'll go there. Like there will be people in these organizations that are trying to be honest sometimes, rarely, and then they do that, and then it gets up to a certain point, and then they are like, nope, actually, nah, because it's Kash Patel's FBI. Give Parnas a break. He has a brand new baby. He is also helping. I'm not a fan of Aaron Parnas. I think does he also support? I think he also supports Israel, doesn't he? That's a big no for me. That's a no. And then I don't know. I don't like that type of shit at all. I don't think you'll find I'm just being honest. Like you'll find maybe people that do this and what I do here when I'm at home and I'm aggregating news and like scrolling the social media. They like Aaron Parnas. People that are out on the streets doing coverage ourselves don't like Aaron Parnas. So it's like I can understand both, but I'm more of like the understanding of people that don't like him. Okay, it's just where that's just the reality of it. All right, but I feel it. It's much easier to. It's like a whole other world out there in the streets. Okay, it's different. Obviously, here at home, comfortable, air conditioning. You know, don't have to get tear gassed or hurt. Don't have to be in a scary environment. We do our own reporting, right? all that shit. Well, I'm waiting for a little bit more on Biddeford. I'm also going to open it up. We can open the chat up. You have unlimited access to good reporting? Oh, you have limited access? Yeah, it can be like that. We'll open it up now. Thank you to my members of the stream. Appreciate you guys. We're going to open the chat up. Now, this is an update in Minnesota that many of you guys have been tuned into. Now, this is brand new, fresh off the press information about the murders of Renee Good and Alex Pretty. About a 22-minute presser this morning in Minnesota.
Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Happening right now, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty is giving an update on the investigations into the deadly shootings of Renee Good and Alex Pretty that happened during Operation Metro Surge. Let's go out now to hear from Moriarty at this news conference.
I'm not really bragging about air conditioning. I'm just saying, like, this is a comfortable environment to be in.
Thank you all for being here today. I'm Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty, and I'm proud to be here today with our team. Attorney General Keith Ellison was unavailable to be here today. We are now in July, which marks 6 months since Renee Good and Alex Pretty were shot and killed by federal officers, and Julio Sosa Solis was shot and injured, also by a federal officer. 6 months of relentless collective effort by our office, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and Attorney General Keith Ellison's office to obtain and review all of the evidence in these cases. Today, I am proud to announce that we have reached another important milestone in our work. Through the cooperation of our federal partners, we have obtained the hard drives of previously withheld evidence in the killings of Renee Good and Alex Pretty and the shooting of Julio Sosa Solis. We have also obtained some of the physical evidence that was previously withheld, including Renee Good's car. Our lawyers are working collaboratively.
That's a key point in case you missed that, but Renee Good's vehicle has been turned back over to Hennepin County attorneys as well. So Renee Good's vehicle no longer under federal control.
The BCA, the Attorney General's office, and our federal partners to facilitate ongoing evidence exchange. The BCA has also shared its files on these cases with the U.S. Attorney's Office. I want to thank our federal partners for their willingness to consider changing course, to share evidence and promote public trust. Obtaining this evidence has been a priority for us since January 7th. It has been rightfully demanded by our community for the past 6 months. The collective effort from our staff, the Attorney General's office, and the BCA to make this happen is staggering. We are incredibly grateful for the ongoing pro bono support we've received from the Washington Litigation Group and the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown. I have been consistent that we have not prejudged any of these instances, and also that we need transparency. We need cooperation. Our community needs it. Alex Pretty and Renee Good's families deserve it. Julio Sosa Solis deserves it. Our democracy requires it. For the 2 cases where we have filed charges against federal officers, we reached those decisions after thorough, fair, and complete review of the available evidence. After receiving this evidence, we immediately began to analyze it in the context of the evidence that we already had. This analysis is ongoing, and it will be every bit as thorough, fair, and complete. We are committed to seeing this through, to making a decision and being transparent about it, no matter where the evidence takes us. Before I close, I want to thank our team that is standing here with me today and others who could not be here, who have worked many, many hours to get us to this point. Questions? Ernesto?
Can you tell us whether the information that you've obtained includes the identities of the agents?
Hard to hear the questions. They got Mike ducking on
I'm
like
wondering if
crazy.
you can shed light on what changed. Is it related to the lawsuit? Did the feds come to you because they needed your evidence to contest the case? Something seems to have changed in their calculus. I'm wondering what was it and what level was it authorized? Was the White House agree to this information?
So your first question is, did the evidence that we receive identify the names of the agents who shot and killed Alex Preddy? I'm going to defer to the BCA on that. We are trying to follow the protocols that we would follow if deadly force was used against a community member by a Minnesota law enforcement agent. That is typically released by the BCA, so I'll just defer to the BCA. I want to talk in general in response to your second question there about how this began, who's responsible for it. From January 7th, I've been consistent in saying that all of us here locally wanted to do the same thing that we have done in every other case, which was to share information, to do joint investigations. We had that agreement for a period of time, and then it was stopped. I will say the conversations have never stopped happening between the local agencies here, including the FBI, the BCA, our office, the U.S. Attorney's Office. So those conversations never stopped. And I'm grateful that our federal partners came to this place where they realized that getting back to normal, because this is what this really is. This is getting back to normalcy, which we all have wanted. We were trying to do that since Renee Good was shot. And now we're back to that place. Lou?
I know you don't want to give like a hard timeline, but can you give the public a kind of an idea of what this changes as far as timing to be able to come to a decision of whether or not you file charges? And then just to piggyback on that, is there a conversation with the U.S. Attorney's Office about them potentially charging, or is that completely?
So the question is about, does this change the timing in terms of when or whether our office is able to make a charging decision? So we got a voluminous amount of discovery, and we began looking at that last week. We continue to look at it. I've always been transparent about this. I've never promised any deadlines because those would be artificial. We will be thorough, we will be complete, and we will make a decision. We will be very public about that. The wonderful thing is now is we have all the evidence. We don't have to speculate about what we don't have. So that certainly makes our analysis, our examination much easier once we're able to get through the volume of information that we have. Excuse me, what was that?
What condition?
Well, we got hard drives. The question is, what condition was the evidence in?
Because there's been a lot of speculation.
Like, was it like, did they redact anything? This audio is terrible, Carolyn.
We're in the process of going through all that evidence. We did get the hard drives from our federal partners. That includes statements, that includes body-worn camera. We got, and the BCA currently has Renee Good's car. That has been analyzed. We are not at the point now to be able to talk about the state of any of the evidence. We are thoroughly looking at it to make sure to actually see what we have and put things together.
What sense of normalcy are we going to be able to get back to? Uh-oh, they're doing the thing I'm worried about. Doing the thing where you like nothing is actually addressed. There's no actual accountability. I know you're going to say, well, this has to happen for there to be accountability. They'll get a slap on the wrist probably at the end of this. Jonathan Ross, they'll get state charges. But when it comes to the federal government, they'll probably get protected. But I don't know how you return to a normalcy after this. That's impossible to happen. It's impossible without serious, which again, it would take years. But then even then, you need multiple layers of accountability here. And I don't know how you're going to get that.
Do you have the guns from the officers?
Question is, do we have the guns, the physical evidence? The BCA has been able to obtain much of the physical evidence. We are in the process of inventorying that and seeing what we have. Esme? This has been an ongoing process. These conversations actually never stopped from when Renee Good was shot and killed. We have continuously been having conversations. And if you want to look at the conversations or get kind of an overview of those, you can look at our federal lawsuit, because we do document in there the conversations that we've been having. So in some respect, they never stopped. I believe we received the first evidence here about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I can't give you an exact date because this has just been ongoing for weeks. Yes, thank you. I was like, what month are we in here? Yes, it was. It was. Jeff.
I don't know if you can speak to this, but there have been other times in this process where it felt like state investigators were close to getting evidence or getting agreements to do an investigation. They were largely scuttled at Washington, D.C.
Wish I could hear the question. I really wish I could hear the questions.
The question is about what role, if any, did Washington, D.C., the administration, play in this? I can't answer that question. Our conversations have been with our local partners, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, the BCA. We have all been working together, and I can't speak to the conversations that the federal government has had.
Is it better audio?
To all of the federal partners.
Okay, we're gonna have to just deal with Carol 11. That one's just out of one ear.
I can't speak to their protocol or what they did here. We are just extremely grateful that they recognize the need to get back to what's normal here, and that they recognize here locally how important this is to our community, to the families of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. So we're extremely grateful to all of the federal partners for bringing us back to the way it should have been back on January 7th.
We know that you had been already able to receive things like videos through that portal and other things that are more easily publicly accessible. Did you have medical stuff like autopsy results and things that are important for analyzing, or is that included?
So the question was about, we did receive, I think, over 1,000 submissions. So this goes back to when Renee Good and Alex Preddy were shot and killed. We asked the public for any information that they had, including videos. My recollection was that we received over 1,000 submissions. So we've had that information. Obviously, it was a lot to go through, but our team has gone through that. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner did the autopsies on both Renee Good and Alex Preddy. So we have had that information. That is not something that we had to get from our federal partners.
Were they conduit?
I'm not sure I understand the question. I mean, I'll just tell you that the BCA, our staff, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI have all been having conversations since January 7th about sharing this information. That's been very up and down, as we've recorded in our federal lawsuit. For whatever reason, and I think it's because all of our federal partners here understand that it's important to get back to the way things have always been. It's important to get all of this information to us for the sake of potential accountability and at least transparency. I've said from the beginning here that anytime the government is responsible in whatever way for taking the life of a community member, we need to have a full and thorough and complete investigation.
Okay, you didn't. We didn't though. We didn't though. And then you got it now, and that's good. And it sounds like you're like, I'm glad that we returned to a normal. And the normalcy is talking about murdering and murder investigations. They can just do that again. So if ICE is going to murder another person, they'll just cover it up again for 6 months and then give back some whatever. And then the attorney will go, well, I'm glad we're back to some sense of normalcy. There's no net levels of normalcy at any level in the United States. Zero. None. Whether it come to the courts, whether it comes to the government, whether it comes to anything. We are not living in any degree of normalcy whatsoever. Even if like she might think it's back to oh, well, we can investigate murders again. They'll just flip that switch off again tomorrow if they need to. Like there needs to be security guarantees. Or have you guys heard that one before? We don't have security guarantees. There's no guarantees of like this won't happen again. It will. It will be worse too.
And we need transparency in what a decision is, and we need transparency into how we got there. So we are simply grateful that our federal partners moved to the place where they recognize how important this is as well. Max.
Did you drop your federal lawsuit?
So we maintain some, we're hopeful that we can resolve that federal lawsuit. We are not going to dismiss it at this point. I'm imagining we will engage in negotiations to see whether we can resolve that.
There's still some disagreement.
Doesn't seem like a whole lot with this, does it? Seems like the Fed shared evidence, but there's nothing really like. They're happy that they're back to being able to communicate with their federal partners, but after being shut out for 6 months, and then it's just like, okay, you guys just shut us out for 6 months. We're back. We're back. We can do it now, and that's what the energy is. It isn't one of like, you know, they just stonewalled us for 6 months. It's cuckoldry. Like they're cucked. Zach X demonetized on YouTube and suspended from Facebook. Damn. Well, not gonna be able to grift on Facebook or YouTube. One point of clarification, just because a person has a work permit and a social security number does not mean they have legal authorization to live here. Applications for asylum get work permits while they wait. Any person with a work permit gets a social security to pay taxes with. It means they're going through the legal immigration process. What are you arguing? Senior fellow, they are in the middle of the legal process. So I'm telling you, people like they just want to cut off all immigration. Bill Kristol, abolish ICE. That'll do it. Any politician that's an elected official that's just posting abolish ICE and not actually doing anything is a clown. Abdullah El-Sayed, who's running for U.S. Senate in Michigan, posted, ICE cannot be reformed, ICE cannot be retrained, ICE must be abolished. Our new ad shows I'm the only candidate in this race who will stand up to ICE. He's a candidate.
Haley Stevens voted to fund and thank ICE.
In Michigan, we know a thing or two about ICE. This ICE, good. But right now, our government spends billions on an agency that operates outside of the law to terrorize our neighbors. I'm Abdul El-Sayed, the only Senate candidate for abolishing ICE, and I approve this message.
Sounds good. I don't have much hope in the U.S. Political system at all anymore. I think it's done. I think we're just living in the post era of it already. It's just like people are holding on to the idea that America will return to some sense, just kind of like Mary Moriarty, right? When she was like, you know, we're in some sense of normalcy. That's what America feels. That's what other people feel. They feel like just because like Trump will not be president forever, that America will return to something. Like, we'll return to what? Return to what? We're going to be my answer or my question. Return where? I think it's already done. We're just like going to find out what happens, or like what, I don't know, what rich person will take over, I guess. Right, Elon. Or just buy the US government. Have people interested for a few months, and then that'll be that. That's how it works. People will be interested for like 2-3 months. They'll be like, what? Elon's going to take over the government? What? And then 3 months go by. He'll have control of it. So that's how the world works. Got a bunch of garbage live cameras out there in Maine, but it doesn't seem like anything more. Is that it for the protests in Maine? Never be disheartened. It's not about being disheartened. It's just being real. There's a difference between being disheartened. Like, I mean, I already did what I had to do for the country. I served 10 honorable years in the military. I have zero interest in like being political in this country. It's a country that's built for billionaires and oligarchs. We don't have a country that's really built for people that want to fight for the working class, or like the people that are working. Our country is not built for that at all. So it's like, I'd rather not lose what's left of my mental health dwelling on that. Does that make sense? And understanding that, hey, the political system we live in's already done. It's just still like exists in theory. But I feel like the oligarchs and the tech billionaires have already taken it. That's what Trump wants from me. It doesn't matter. Trump is just the figurehead. Trump is just the person that they have making sounds out of his mouth. You got the Heritage Foundation is what's really in control of the government, and Stephen Miller. Trump is just the orange man that they decided to have sitting there. But he's not like Trump isn't like he's not the puppeteer. He's not the puppet master. He's not the ones with the strings, so it doesn't matter what we think about him, actually. Other news with Lindsey Graham. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster announces that he will appoint Darlene Graham Nordone, the sister of the late Lindsey Graham. Wow. Darlene Graham is going to take over the Senate seat for Lindsey Graham.
Today, under the law, it's my duty.
Yeah, Trump will be gone soon. Then what?
An honor to name someone to serve in the place of this irresistible man, this irreplaceable man, this extraordinary man for the remainder of his term. Lindsey took care of his little...
My argument is that the current status quo of the country is not worth fighting for. There's a different reality for this country and for the people within it, and a different economic system, and that's worth fighting for. But it's like a dead carcass that's in our way. It's like there's better. There is something worth fighting for, but there's like this giant fucking dead horse that's in the way. And people really love this dead horse. And they're going to fucking sit on it and be in the way of real progress. And that's where I'm at with this situation. So I don't have any interest in fighting for American government status quo, Republican, Democrat shit. No interest whatsoever. That's the dead horse that's in the way of actual progress.
Sister, in years long departed. It's my honor to ask his little sister, Darlene Graham, to finish his work for him now.
So his little sister is going to finish the work of Lindsey Graham. Little sister. Little sister Graham. You said Houston has a protest, but it's not very big. ICE claiming that everyone who flees for their lives is trying to run them over is so dystopian. Trying to live a declared death sentence by these monsters. It's because that's what ICE will say every time. You try to run us over. Rioter, well, like, okay, so a protester, because this is clearly a right-wing slop. The Maine Wire. Rioter in Biddeford claims Maine Wire John deserves to be executed via guillotine for the crime of working for conservative media.
You're a cancer.
Thank you. Yeah. You're a piece of
Why
am I a cancer?
You're a cancer.
Why am I a cancer?
Conservative liars.
Fucking
Conservative liars.
Go back where?
Liars. Liars.
Fuck you and everything you stand for.
Fucking minions. Fuck you're a cancer.
Why? Why am I a cancer? Give me one example of my
people like you.
Give me one example.
They're going to reintroduce a guillotine for people like you. I hope you understand that. It's
crazy.
It's crazy.
Hey, no fear. Get it off. No, come here. No, hey, no fear.
Don't touch the phone.
I did it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So, it doesn't look like the conservative media is doing well over there. Wah. Maine Wire John. Now, conservative media is not liked amongst the rest of us. New war against Iran? Wow. The ninth war against Iran in the past couple months. Nick Sorter's a government agent. You see him around, you should know he's working with the federal government. Trump's going to be making a speech Thursday at 9 p.m. He said this doesn't sound good. It's literally slop every time. Relax. Every time Trump is like, I'm making an announcement. He used to do this during at noon last year. Remember last year, guys? We had it was like a morning announcement. We had to wake up in the morning for his dumb shit. And now he's doing prime time. It's literally nothing. It's going to be the same campaign slop. Same campaign slop that we all get. Nothing important whatsoever will come out of Thursday. I don't think we're getting much more in Maine. You got a vigil tonight. I don't see any other protests taking place. I don't think there's much else here. You got the Senate paying a tribute to Lindsey Graham.
Republicans have plenty of time to drop their my way or the highway partisan game. Most Republicans know how ridiculous the SAVE Act is, how unconstitutional it probably is. But Trump is still insisting on it because he thinks it's the only way he can win an election, and by fixing it, by eliminating tens of millions of people from the voter rolls. And so, he says, unless I get my way, a little temper tantrum here, Donald, I'm going to shut down the government and something that the American people can see through in a minute, as they can see through the very unpopular SAVE Act. If Republicans follow Trump over the cliff and insist that the government shut down, if they don't get their way, it will be Donald Trump's disaster. on the Blanche nomination. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
This guy is an absolute nothing. This guy is an absolute nothing. It'll be Trump's disaster. Every day is a Trump disaster. That's not enough. Chat, I want you to hear me out. It is not enough if you hear a Democrat that's just like, Trump is bad. How about that one? Let them sit on that one for a little bit. And then they do nothing else. A lot of Democrats I've noticed can say the right things. They know what to say, for sure. They know the slogans. They know the social media hashtags. Right? But they don't do shit else. Right? Yeah. So, and again, the Democrats shut down the government. Right? When it's a tool that you need to use, you're going to use it, right? So the Democrats were shutting down the government because healthcare, we supported that. That was good, right? So that you can't then, I don't know, it's weird then to then use that as like a point because Trump wants to shut the government down. Obviously, he's going to do that because of his reasons are warped, but it's so, whatever, dude. I can't, could we just speed up to midterms? We just speed up to it. Anyone seeing any Democrats that are just like, wow, this is going to be the one that really turns things around? Are we seeing that? Besides Mamdani, but he can't run beyond mayor. You guys seeing anything? You guys excited? Looks like you got a lot of Iran news coming in as I'm waiting for more from Maine. Said he's going to hit them hard tonight and hit them hard tomorrow.
Can you or the American military or the Israeli military get to what's left of their third string and their fourth string and their fifth string? Do you know where they are? Can you kill them?
Yeah, I do, but we don't want to talk about that. But okay. We certainly are watching. Yep, I know a lot about that subject. I know a lot, but I don't think it's appropriate to talk about it right now. But we will be hitting them. Like as an example, we're going to hit them very hard tonight, and we're going to hit them hard tomorrow. And there's not a damn thing they can do about it. They have nothing. They have nothing going other than they have big mouths.
Keep it up, Mr. President.
Very good that I did because I got to know them.
The MOU buckled.
And it's a lot better. You know, people say I was at least reasonable, but I got to know them and they're stone cold crazy people.
Can you or the
So we're at war. MS Now, President Trump's speech on Thursday is slated to address newly declassified intelligence reports that reveal plans by foreign nations to interfere in the 2020 election. Wow. Incredible. Well, that is one of the talking points from his campaign. So I was like partially correct. He'll bring up the border. He'll bring up trans people again. Talk about 8 new wars. He solved 8 new wars. And blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, boy. You got this update at 1 p.m. Mainers protesting fatal ICE shooting in Biddeford, Maine. This guy just left Susan Collins' office about a few hours ago, but it's a report from outside the office.
Hey, Mainers. I'm here in Biddeford outside the office of U.S. Senator Susan Collins. Several hundred...
You would think that Maine especially would be politically active right now, given the state of the senator race, right?
Protesters just came through here protesting ICE's alleged shooting of a man here in Biddeford this morning. Protesters are calling for the end of ICE, for ICE to get out of Maine, to get out of Biddeford. And they're holding Senator Collins accountable for providing ICE an unprecedented amount of money to do this work. Protesters right now are largely across the street. The rest have gone down to Biddeford City Hall. Biddeford Police came just a few minutes ago to clear out the crowd and get them away from Senator Collins' office. I'll stay with you. Be sure to like and follow for more Maine news.
So that's guy outside the protests in Biddeford from a few hours ago. Outside of Susan Collins' office. In the events which took place in Biddeford this morning, remind us all to remain calm and allow for a full, transparent, and full. The Minnesota took 6 months. Remain calm and allow for a full and transparent and fair investigation. They don't do that. They don't do that. They cover it up. They cover it up. The Department of Homeland Security has indicated they will pursue a transparent investigation. They promise, guys. They promise. Our men and women at all levels of law enforcement are often in situations where they have to make split-second decisions. And the same fucking slop we've heard forever. When it comes to police shootings, whether they're federal government or not, it's the same. This honestly, frame this whole thing, even to any loss of life is tragic, but anyone who would seek to politicize this, it's the same thing. This guy asked Grok, give me the right-wing pro-police take from 2011 till today. Grok, tell me what right-wing, what I should say in response to people demanding for accountability for transparency in this police shooting. What is every single beat that I need to hit? Give me it all. Cuck. That's what any right-wing conservative will do that too. This is not the time. We need to transparency. We need to all sides need to calm down. All sides need to just relax. Wow. So duly declassified 2020 foreign election. And you're going to have Trump striking Iran tonight more. You know what? I'm thinking, fuck the rules. Mamdani should just start a whole political, honestly, a political thing. Like he kind of is already, but he should start that and spearhead it. Fuck these rules, because there's nothing else that even compares to being able to fight against what's going on. There's nothing else even remotely like interesting at all. An 11th hour meeting, Iran crossed the line. How do you achieve transparency in a closed, non-independent investigation? You don't. You don't. It doesn't happen. It is getting worse. Nope. Back last year, I would say, hey, go join a protest. Or like, hey, go out to the massive protest taking place, but we don't really have that anymore. You got like individual little protests taking place when something happens in the state, and that's it. Last year, you had massive national, worldwide protests. There's really nothing new on Maine, guys. That's it. Now we're in Middle Eastern. Now we're in the Middle East again. Yeah, about 20 FBI agents going inside and out of Lindsey Graham's Capitol Hill home this morning. Wicked work. Wicked work. What up, Malp? What up? Not enough attended last year they did. What do you mean? All through the winter. As the people that organized them decided that was good enough, I guess. We had you had people breaking protest records in the cold in Minnesota out there in January. And then we had one more No Kings didn't we have one in spring or whatever? Wasn't there one then? Protesters are growing in Maine or what? From someone that covers protests, they're not growing. They're not growing. They've gotten they don't even happen now. They went from last year again. We had at least one or two every month, and we're in July. The last massive national protest I covered was in the middle of Metro Surge this winter. Dude, Delaney Hall was not a national protest. Should have been. Wasn't. That was the first one I saw where I'm like, oh, well, this isn't going beyond like the here and now. It's like Minnesota became a big deal. But I feel like that unfortunately made it into like it hit the plateau. And I guess people are just tired of it. I didn't think Minnesota was going to be like the end of the massive response. So again, these are the main 3 points from it, and I guess we can move on because I don't have anything else from Biddeford. Man killed is a 26-year-old Colombian. DHS Secretary Mark Wade Mullins, Senator Angus King, the man was under order to leave the U.S. and weaponize the car. Witnesses, agents chased, rammed the car, and shot the man while stopped. Those are the main 3 points. That's the information we know so far, plus the video. I like 3 videos that we have. Did other states need to step up too? They're not going to, it seems. What up, Luke? The big fuck ice in the chat. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. How about this? I've yet to see a community in the United States that's anywhere close to like the Twin Cities, though. So they really picked a unique place to try that. You know, and I think that's what's tough is like Twin Cities really sets a standard for community that the majority of the United States just outright does not have. Just doesn't have it.
In to CNN about a fatal ICE-involved shooting today in Biddeford, Maine. An immigration rights group says the man was a 26-year-old from Colombia who was authorized to work in the United States. Maine Senator Angus King says he spoke to DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen about the incident and was told that this person was the target of an immigration enforcement operation and had been ordered removed from the country. King says Secretary Mullen also told him the man was shot after he allegedly tried to weaponize the vehicle he was in. The senator adding that the agents were not wearing body cameras. A witness says an ICE officer repeatedly yelled before opening fire after a car appeared to drive toward him. Another witness says the man was bleeding profusely from the head and told the officers, quote, "I tried to stop."
Biddeford resident Laura Peters told CNN she heard multiple gunshots come from the intersection of 2 nearby streets around 7:17 this morning. The gunshots are heard in a video captured by her doorbell camera. Let's take a listen.
That's a video we saw on social media.
Oh, is that a car?
Multiple gunshots can be heard, but Peter's surveillance video doesn't appear to show, I should say, any law enforcement or vehicles or personnel. Reacting to the shooting, Maine Governor Janet Mills posted the following statement on her official Facebook page. "I have been briefed on the fatal shooting," she said, in Biddeford this morning involving federal law enforcement. "I know that situations like these are alarming and frightening. The Maine State Police are at the scene supporting and working cooperatively with the Attorney General's office, Maine's Office of Chief Medical Examiner, and federal officials to determine the facts of what occurred this morning."
The fatal shooting comes just days after a federal immigration enforcement officer shot and killed a Mexican immigrant during a traffic stop in Houston, sparking new calls for transparency and accountability. We're joined now by John Sandweg, former ICE acting director under President Obama. John, thanks for being with us. What questions do you have about how this particular case unfolded based on really the...
And it's also, I'm just going to say it, the response to immigrants being murdered by ICE agents in cold blood, and the response to 2 white individuals, which again were killed, murdered. 6-7 or what? What are we doing? It's like the same thing, but these are immigrants. Okay. white Minnesotans, for sure. I'm all about the accountability. Alex Pretty and Renee Good were murdered in cold blood. But they really got the entire country to rally behind those two murders. I was out there all night in Minneapolis. All night. All day, all night. The day Renee Good was killed. I didn't leave Southside Minneapolis from the moment Renee Good was murdered until like 3 a.m. that we left the South Side. It was like 2, 3 a.m. at the crime scene, and my stream was like finally froze or something. Because I lost battery, or I don't think it was just we needed to rest for the next day. And it's like, I'm here looking for feeds, even from Houston. And it's like, you'll have a group go out there, but it's wild, again, Alex Pretty, Renee Good, both white, or the entire country rallies to protest. 2 immigrants murdered the same way. Brown. What's going on? What's the deal? It's the same situation.
Few facts that we know here.
Yeah, Brianna, I mean, it's the same as always, right? What caused the officer to think he was in, mortal fear here of imminent bodily harm? But also, Brianna, look, this is now at least the 18th shooting involving ICE since the commencement of the Trump administration, involving someone in a vehicle, right? So what I want to know is, why was the operational plan here to take this guy into custody while he was driving? Could we have done this in a way that posed less risk, not only to the individual himself, but to the ICE officers themselves? Car vehicle stops are incredibly dangerous. They're not something that generally federal agents do. Those are what state and local police do in marked vehicles. It's especially not something that ICE has done, and definitely not something they've done much of over the last 6 years, Brianna, where the majority of the arrests have taken place of people that are already in Border Patrol custody or in custody of state and local police. So I want to know, what was the plan in terms of when we went to apprehend this individual that made us say, hey, a vehicular stop was necessary, and that we couldn't have let him at least arrive at his destination, take him into custody there, or take him into custody before he ever got into that vehicle?
Why are we acting brand new when this is the same ICE that was driving people off the fucking road and chasing people like they were in Grand Theft Auto in Metro Surge? Why are we acting brand new? Why are we re-asking the same questions that we were asking 6 months ago and pretending like that's good? Why? These are all questions that we all had to live with in January and December of like, why are they able to do this shit? And now here we are 6 months later, and apparently we'll just do it again. We don't have any answers from all the other federal immigration bullshit nonsense taking place across the country. Here it is again, and they're asking the same questions. Yeah, they'll think maybe because the culture hasn't changed. It's still Trump's administration. Like, we're still in it. It hasn't gone anywhere. That's why.
Is it problematic that there appears to be no body camera footage? That's what Senator King is saying at this point. Of course, we haven't seen video.
Yeah, ICE has said they're going to roll out the body cameras, but again, this is the second shooting now with the Houston shooting just last week where no body camera was footage. I would also urge, listen, the best way to protect these agents themselves is to have the body camera. The body camera oftentimes, more often than not, the body camera shows and justifies the use of force used by the law enforcement officer wearing it. I would like to see make this a priority, right? We know, listen, it's not a shortage of money. ICE has never in the history of ICE been so well funded as they are right now. I would urge the secretary to, quickly deploy body cameras to all officers so that we're not all in the dark trying to figure out what happened here. And Brianna, let me say one other thing, of course. We're still dealing with this massive credibility gap that really arose in Minneapolis, right? So now, the body camera can help eliminate those questions, eliminate all that suspicion that the agency is under whenever there's a use of force incident as to whether or not the officers are telling the truth. I hope that we get those body cameras deployed as quickly as possible.
That's what I was actually going to ask you about, because federal immigration officials, they haven't exactly earned themselves, the benefit of the doubt. Because in past federal officer-involved shootings, even when there turns out there is video, it's emerged and it does not match up. There have been key cases, obviously, where it does not match up with the initial accounts that we have heard from federal immigration enforcement. I do wonder, it seems like that is just so imperative when it comes to having those body cameras, if you're surprised that that hasn't been solved for yet more broadly.
Yeah, Brandon, listen, look, first of all, let me back up. I will give the credit to the department so far today. I have not seen a statement yet, right? As we saw in many of these officer-involved shootings, what was happening was the department was rushing out a statement where basically it looked like they already made up their mind, right? That the shooting was justified, that the deceased weaponized their vehicle or took some other action that threatened the officers. And then lo and behold, video comes out that appears to undermine, right, that narrative. I think, look, give credit to the department. Thus far, I've not heard a statement. I don't think any statement would be appropriate other than we're going to conduct a full and thorough and fair investigation into this. But you're exactly right. It's a kind of combination between those statements and then video evidence emerges later that undercuts that creates that credibility gap. Of course, body cameras would eliminate that. But Brandon, one other thing very quickly. The department needs to step back right now, though, and ask themselves, why does this keep happening? As I said, this is the 18th, at least the 18th shooting involving a vehicle. I really, really hope that we're looking, especially when you're involving a non-criminal. Someone, as I understand it, thus far, at least the initial reporting is this individual has no criminal history. What was so urgent that required us to make a traffic stop, putting those officers in a position where they're in danger themselves and obviously the driver? Why did we have to do it this way? And I hope that, as this investigation goes forward, we take a step back and do a further review about our operational tactics and minimize the risks of this happening again.
Yeah, you're giving some credit, I think, to DHS under the leadership of Mark Wayne Mullen, in that you see a difference in how they're reacting initially to something like this happening. But as you are questioning the tactics here, and
it's the exact same response Kristi Noem had.
Continued involvement of ICE in these shootings, are you seeing a substantive difference there or no?
Yeah, we were, right? There was a real shift back in those tactics, back to those more targeted operations. Historically, Brianna, during my time at DHS and ICE, when we did targeted operations, that typically meant we're going to try to get someone in their residence first thing in the morning. It was, and I have to say, the number of, situations where officers were put in danger, where there were shootings, were very, very limited. I don't have specific numbers, but far fewer than what we're seeing today. What we have seen, I will say, and give credit to Secretary Mullen, we saw a reduction in those more demonstrative ways of doing enforcement, right? That show of force, those confrontations with protesters. We went back to that more targeted approach where I think, again, it was done in that quieter manner that put lowered the temperature for everything. I will say over the last couple of weeks, it feels like we've seen an uptick. Reporting has come out, of course, that the department has again come under pressure to increase the number of, ICE arrests. And I worry that, when you're under that pressure to do ICE arrests, I've often said this, that the quantity, the number of arrests, it really is an enemy of the quality, right? If you're doing that targeted operation focused on the worst of the worst, typically those people are harder to find. It takes more, investigative time to go out there and get them. It takes more officers to take those people into custody, and you result in lower numbers. I do worry that over the last couple of weeks, as we've seen the last two shootings, that it is directly related to this pressure the agency.
It's the same pressure. Nothing's changed. It's not new. It's the same. They have quotas to fill. That's why they were doing what they were doing in the Twin Cities. It's not like a new, renewed effort. It's not like a new thing. It's the same Project 2025, mass immigration, untrained federal agent nonsense. Same. I like people that try to act brand new when we were living in the same situation from last year. It's the same shit. 10 minutes ago, protesters gathered outside the office of U.S. Senator Susan Collins after a shooting involving U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Maine, from Reuters. See what else Asen has here. Something Lindsey Graham. Person wearing a mask, dressed like Donald Trump. That's scary. That's actually uncanny. That's creepy. That's looks like oh boy. I'm trying to think of the book series that reminds me of. That's scary. Okay, apparently the clip with Stephen Miller and Lindsey Graham was good. So that's been shared a bunch. Lindsey Graham is an absolute ghoul. Okay. I also saw a lot of Democrats and people that vote Democrat coming out and trying to police others for saying that he's an absolute piece of shit and nobody feels bad that he's dead. And you had people coming out and saying, wow, he had a family. I don't give a fuck. Fuck his family too. How about that? Fuck him and his family. Especially since his little sister is taking over the Senate job too now. Especially fuck her. How many families and kids in Gaza did Lindsey Graham care about? Yeah, Amy, it was cringe. I mean, I hate that she's the only option in Minnesota. It's not going to go well. It's going to be a very rough. Yeah, I think she's going to think it's going to be an easy campaign. It's not. Because she supports Israel. It's not going to be an easy campaign for Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota. Where was her statement on Lindsey Graham? Did she tweet it? Yeah, here you go. Jesus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs for Lindsey Graham. 5 paragraphs for Lindsey Graham from A.B. Klobuchar. Like a Star Wars scroll. Sickening. Sickening. And we're going to have to, like, what, suck that up with other establishment Democrats that are going to be like, it's either her or Republican. What's the difference? Are you serious? Apparently, when they're best friends anyways, behind closed doors, what the fuck is it matter? What's it matter? If they're best friends. Oh, we're just pretend to be enemies for social media and for the voters, I guess. We just pretend. We'll just pretend. We'll like play a game. We'll play a game where we'll pit our voters against each other, but like we'll be friends. It's so bad. And a lot of Democrats are doing that yesterday, and they'll keep doing that too. And then you'll be reminded. Oh, it's like the same system. This person was reporting outside of the protests. I'm waiting for any type of protest coverage from Maine, and it's just like not there, or like a press conference or something. And I'm just not seeing anything right now. I know there's a vigil at 7.
Christian, for what's happening in that part of the city. Hi, Christian.
It's storming in Houston. There's no protests or anything really right now.
Hi, Brian and Amanda. Yes, this protest has definitely grown. I was speaking with some other reporters here from other outlets. We are estimating there's probably, there was over 100 people. We know that for certain. And there's definitely, it just keeps growing. We're seeing more and more people coming down the streets here. But I'm only about a quarter mile away from where Sam was at the scene here. This is Mechanics Park in Biddeford. And I've talked to quite a few angry people about what happened here this morning. They are frustrated. They don't like to hear that Senator Angus King is reporting that there were not body cameras on those ICE agents this morning. And I also spoke to one woman who lives not too far away from the crime scene. She saw the ICE agents, what she believes were ICE agents, saw them wearing badges and vests that said that. And she was also talking about what those parents, she saw the mother and the daughter of the gentleman who was shot. And this is what she had to say about that scene there.
The wife and the daughter of the man laying in the street were over here, and the wife was just melting down. The little girl was crying. She's got her little pink backpack sitting next to her on the ground that she's crying. Just inconsolable. So a little girl found Daddy laying in the street up there.
I wish I didn't cut off that interview.
Yeah. And so the scene right here is continually developing and growing as more and more people descend.
That's why supporting independent media is better, because we don't cut interviews off like that. I hate when they do that. Status Quo News doesn't cut off interviews. Got a whole lot of Lindsey Graham today. Remembering Lindsey Graham. You guys ever look at like establishment Democrat YouTubers and shit and just like shake your head in shame? Because the shit they'll cover and talk about, and then what's actually happening in the streets and like what's actually happening, and like they're not talking about it. Or like they refuse to. I don't like. I don't give a fuck about Charlie. Well, Charlie Kirk too. Whatever. Charlie, Lindsey Graham, all of them. I don't care. He's dead. This guy's next. Is this the full interview? Oh, good. The full interview with, I believe, the same lady. It was cut off in the other report.
I was drinking my coffee, and I heard a gunshot. I thought it was a backfire, and then I kept hearing them, and I thought it was a drive-by shooting. And so I get up and look out the window, and I see a small white car being corralled by two men trying to stop it from losing control around the intersection. And
different woman? Okay.
All of a sudden, all these plainclothes, vested men started running down the street, abandoning their cars kind of everywhere with regular people behind them. And I didn't see him. The white car that's in front of his vehicle, he just came and slowly just wedged it closed. Like the car wasn't out of control that I saw. And that's what I saw until EMS arrived pretty late. And the bus then pulled up to the side street there, and that's when they kind of shut everything down.
Learning what happened, what goes through your mind, especially living right where it happened, right in front of where it happened.
It shatters the illusion that Maine is safe. This is my home of 34 years. And with Lewiston happening, and you hear about the violence that happens everywhere else, and you're ignorant to think that it can't happen here. And it's really upsetting that, you don't think about it until it does happen here. I don't know what he did, but he didn't deserve to be executed in the street. I didn't hear anything until the gunshots, so I don't know anything other than that he's dead.
Did you see him laying in the street after the fact?
No, I didn't. The car pretty much effectively blocked it really well. But it wasn't like a high-speed crash or anything. It just was like a gentle wedge, and then men were walking up with cases and stuff, and that's all I was able to see, fortunately.
Did you notice anything identifiable with the authorities that were involved here, whether it be DHS or ICE? Could you tell who they were with?
I saw the green vests and the yellow writing, but at the time it wasn't really processing exactly who it was until there was a man here recording as well who confirmed it was ICE. It definitely crossed my mind, but when he said that, that's when it became real.
That detail, understanding that this apparently was a deadly ICE shooting,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any reaction to that portion of this?
It's just hard because you know how ignorant people are, and how many people are going to say that this man deserved to die. So I guess that's what I'm struggling with the most, I guess, is, you read ignorantly online everything that is happening, and it's you weren't there. You don't know what happened. So, yeah, I guess it's just, I'm just sad to know that ignorance is still alive.
Always will be. Stupid is as stupid does. And she's talking to the Trump supporting ICE supporters in the chat. Mom Donnie's out go-karting today. I don't want to play that video on stream. They do have the video of dragging the individual out of his car and putting cuffs on him when he's already dead. This is what the heart of the 2020 protests were going at. But again, those were hit with the same type of BS because it was Black Lives Matter and black people were involved. So America's racist core kicked in. So they didn't really hear the message about the police and the system of policing. That's wrong. It was because it was Black Lives Matter, because black lives were there. A lot of people just shut it out right away. And that's the actual truth. They don't want to hear that, hey, there sure is a lot of, like, and again, just systemic killings of black and brown people in this country, but we got a lot of viral ones too. Like, it's not just that it's happening both on the internet for us to see, it's also happening not on the internet for us to see. However, there's so much of it happening for us to see though. And that was like the whole point of 2020. It was like these viral police murders that we're seeing are a bigger problem. Okay. And that's why if you ever paid attention in 2020 at all, a lot of the protests would have a big long list of police killings in the country. Similar to how, ironically, the No Kings protests would have this big long fucking constitution. The Black Lives Matter protests had a big long thing, but it was names of individuals that were murdered by the police. So the underarching message, I guess overarching message too, was the police state that we live in this country, and the amount of funding that goes to militarized policing and nothing to actually like tackle the core issues within the country, like affordability, healthcare, improving the way of life in the country. But we have all the money for Israel and the Middle East and for masked federal agents. We have all the money for that. Every dollar for all that. Trump was presented with a special helmet today, guys.
Thank you again for this opportunity. And I think we have a special helmet for you. Am I right, Alex? We do.
Did he put it on?
We hope you will wear that when you're riding around in the Beast, leading the field. Come to the green flag. Again, thank you, sir. Bud Denker.
The race car driver is sponsored by AI all over. This AI race car driver gives the president a special helmet. Hopefully he can wear it. Jasmine Crockett made a statement. No federal agency should be killing people in our communities. He was 26 years old, 26. Since Trump took office, ICE has shot and killed at least 10 people. When families are left burying their loved ones, that is not law enforcement, that is cruelty. It's posted at 3:41, so not that long ago. About 30 minutes ago, just posted. That's a Maine resident. We saw that clip. Then she gets interrupted by pro-ICE and anti-ICE protesters in the background. If you want to know what kind of person Lindsey Graham was, listen to what Capitol Police officers have to say about him, not Democratic senators. Which is what's sick. That's the sick. Or Cory Booker, too, about Lindsey Graham. Remember when he was a darling last year for a little bit because he did a long speech? I am stunned by Senator Graham's passing. Thinking back to the work we did together that he worked against the whole time.
So I go up to Lindsey Graham, and I'm a brand new senator, determined to do something about mass incarceration. And I hear through Dick Durbin and others that he's the guy to work with. And I say, Mr. Graham, sir, I'd like to work with you on criminal justice reform. He seems almost amused by what I said. He goes, Corey, do you understand? I'm in a primary right now, and I'm running against a guy who is batshit crazy. I can't even so much as talk to you right now. Get out of here, man. Come back to me after my primary. And I laughed and came back to him after the primary. And true to his word, he rolled up his sleeves and we went to work. And thanks to him and Dick Durbin and some other Senate heroes, our bill became the First Step Act after years, 2 presidents, 2 Congresses, and became law. One of my favorite moments in that negotiation was at the last minute, I'm trying to force one more thing into that bill. This has to do with children being put in solitary confinement. And I am going at it with this White House official who says, no, hard no. And we're almost yelling at each other. And then he says, I'm going to get Lindsey Graham on the phone and he will tell you. And so he gets the White House operator to connect Lindsey Graham onto the phone. And Lindsey Graham listens for maybe a hot second and then interrupts the guy and says, are you kidding me? We need Cory Booker to get this bill done. We can't do it without him. Give him what he wants. And it was in the bill. It's now part of the law of the land. One of the White House negotiators during that first negotiation told me that Lindsey Graham was like an unguided missile. That God, you never knew which way he was going to go.
What a wow.
Whether he would come back and hit you. But when he was aligned,
he was like an unguided missile. Is that because you guys love killing kids in the Middle East? Jesus Christmas.
When he would be in the right place at the right time, man, he could get things done that other people couldn't and bring a lot of light and new possibilities to the efforts. I am stunned at Lindsey Graham's death, but I pray that he is reunited with his friend, John McCain, that they both are experiencing God's love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness.
So, like, this is the dead horse I'm talking about. And that, like, this is that dead horse. I'm not interested in restoring something to which this guy can be in power. What do you mean? So, like, first off, you tell a story, and Lindsey Graham, you said, like, told you to fuck off, basically, for criminal justice reform, which never happened. What criminal justice reform? Shut the fuck up. And also, he tells you right away, I don't have time for your shit, Cory Booker. I got an election to win. So he kicks you down the road for an election, which shows that Lindsey Graham cared more about winning an election than actually fighting for issues. So I don't know what that was. And then you made it about yourself because Lindsey Graham fought for you in terms of having your name attached to a bill, and therefore that means he's a good, like, that's same shit with Amy Klobuchar. So it's crazy. It's like these politicians, and again, I have nothing to do with the Democratic Party. I'm not, listen, I will not influence for that party. I will not be connected to that fucking party. I will not do anything for that, or the Republican Party, like either one. But I'm talking, like, because I'm obviously a voice against MAGA, and I'm a voice against the Republican Party because I come from that, and I know all about it, and I can shit down their spine like you wouldn't believe now. That doesn't mean I'm gonna be a Democrat, especially this Democratic Party. Are you fucking out of your mind? Hell no. Never. Especially that. That is pathetic. And Amy Klobuchar. And she's gonna run in office in Minnesota, and a lot of people are gonna but she's not good. These are the exact, these types of politicians are the exact problem, and why we keep getting MAGA. If you haven't noticed, MAGA doesn't have much to say about Mamdani other than Muslim or whatever. But even then, it's not, that propaganda ain't going anywhere because he's delivering. He's doing stuff. If you have politicians in the Democratic Party that do stuff, they're not shills for Israel. They're not both sidesing my best friends in the Republican Party anymore. You can't do that. When you have the Republican Party that is attacking the Democratic Party all the time, nonstop, 24 hours a day, and also anybody that criticizes them, and then they're considered a Democrat too. And when you have that nonstop, 24 hours a day, and then your establishment Democratic Party looks at those politicians and is like, wow, those are our friends. Let me write a 4-paragraph dissertation Let me write a absolute fucking monstrosity message to the worst person ever. Or do a 2-minute video. And that's the type of games that Americans are done playing. They're done playing. Like this is comfortable for conservatives or like people that are liberal that are like thinking about it. That are like thinking about, oh, I'm tired of fighting for issues all the time. I'm sick of these protester types. And all they do is talk about this problem and that problem and this problem and that. I'm tired of it. You got a bunch of people that are like that in the Democratic Party. A lot. And they're like just 2 steps away from being Republican, actually. Maybe not on the bigotry part of it, for sure. Maybe, yeah, I'll give them that. They won't be like racist, at least overtly, or whatever, bigoted. But like they're really tired of the protest and people that are calling accountability to things all the time. Okay? But a lot of that has to do with the status quo that we live in. And people are done with that. And I'd argue that a lot of people, more people are done with it than want to like resume back to like how we were before Trump. Because this Trump administration has just shown us that we can't go back to the status quo. We can't go back because we'll just be right back into this. It'll be worse. It'll be the FBI. Yeah, it'll be the FBI, ICE, and then even the CIA too. They can fuck around now. And they have been, but like they can do it. Like pretend just you'll see CIA agents out there. Or they'll just rewrite the rules. You'll be like, no, they can't. You can only operate. Oh no, yeah, they'll change the rules, guys. They will literally change it so that way they can do what they want. I've been bamboozled by the tankies and campists. I've been bamboozled by the tankies because I don't support establishment Democrats. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I came to this conclusion on my own. The only time that I spend outside of this stream right here is when I'm playing my games. You can come and tune in to me playing NCAA football. It made a lot of people quit this morning. I did lose to Ohio State. That one didn't go well. But there's not really a whole lot of like tanky politics being discussed there. Or like far left politics being discussed. And if you think that because people are against establishment Democrats, then therefore they're tankies, that's your problem. That's because you watch political content on the internet and you watch establishment Democrat content creators that spend all day fighting against people to the left of them. Also your problem. Because you don't have to watch that content. You could watch something else. That content creator could do something else too, but that's what they do. They fight with people that are further left than they are. So therefore you have a reality to which, oh, well, they're against the Democratic establishment. Oh, you're tanky now because you watch that content and you've been, you have an algorithm now. And it's kind of like a psychological game that you're playing with yourself because that's the content that you consume. And it is what it is. Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari made a statement 50 minutes ago. ICE murdered 26-year-old man in Maine less than a week after they murdered Lorenzo Salgado Araujo in Texas. Tomorrow I'll take to the House floor and demand accountability and make the case for abolishing ICE.
News just broke that ICE murdered another person today, a 26-year-old in Maine who had work authorization, who had a social security number. Witnesses described it as an execution. This is just a week after ICE murdered 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado Araujo in Texas, a father, a construction worker, somebody who'd been in this country for decades. At what point are we going to realize that these are not isolated incidents? This is a pattern, a systematic pattern, because this is an agency that is racist, that is violent, that is a paramilitary force at the direction of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller, and we need accountability now. It is undeniable at this point that we have to abolish ICE. I just got back to D.C. I will be making the case on the House floor tomorrow about this. We need Republicans to step up and wake up. This is Susan Collins' estate. What is she going to do? What is she going to say about the fact that ICE just murdered somebody in her state, somebody who was here with legal status This is getting so out of hand. Americans across this country, I urge you to step up. I urge you to speak out, call your representatives, demand accountability, demand oversight, and demand that ICE be abolished, because otherwise we're going to see grieving family after grieving family with ICE in its current form today.
Okay, so she's going to go to the House floor tomorrow, 4:45 p.m. Eastern. So it looks like CENTCOM posted another round of strikes in Iran. Yeah, 16 minutes ago at 4:45 p.m. Eastern, U.S. Central Command begun launching the third consecutive night of strikes against Iran at the commander-in-chief's direction. These strikes will continue imposing a heavy cost on Iranian forces and degrade their ability to attack innocent civilians and commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Elizabeth Warren, ISIS shot and killed another person. The second death in 2 weeks, beyond horrific. ISIS terrorizing our communities, and Republicans in Congress voted to send the rogue agency more blank checks. And Democrats. Whoa. Democrats also voted in Congress to fund ICE as well. Enough. The Senate must stop ISIS violence. JT Sestowski from Status Quo went, "You don't handcuff someone if you think they're dead. So these agents just decided not to aid a person they shot. This will keep happening until there are real repercussions for the agents. They think they are immune, and so far they're right. They have been." And again, that's the video. I'm not playing it. I'm not going to play that video on stream. You guys can go watch that if you would like to. Congressman Chuy Garcia, ICE has killed another person just days after the killing of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. This pattern of violence and blatant disregard for human life cannot continue. There must be a full independent investigation into every single death involving ICE and accountability. Well, then, when is it going to start? Can you start it when, like, as soon as, if the Democrats take power, which again, midterms are looking good for the Democratic Party, they need to establish an independent body right away. And the right wing and MAGA will cry about it like they did with Robert Mueller and blah, 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 but you got to do it anyway. Now, here's a statement that Amy, whatever the fuck, all of them are the same. I don't care. Amy Klobuchar should have said about Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham was one of the most loathsome, warmongering, anti-worker bigots in the halls of Congress. Graham was as vicious a proponent of imperialist war as they come. For decades, he was hardened supporter of Israel's ethnic cleansing and its apartheid state. He effectively called for Israel to use nuclear weapons on the Palestinian people, likened Palestinians to Nazi Germany, and urged that Israel flatten Gaza and the West Bank. He called for regime change in Iran and was undying advocate of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. He described American funding for the bloody inter-imperialist proxy war in Ukraine, which again, I don't agree with that, as the best money we've ever spent. I would not agree with that last statement. However, his comment there absolutely gave an alley-oop to people that are cooked on when it comes to Ukraine. Okay, and I called that out the moment he went there and did that, because he looked like a sleazy asshole. And this was like in 2023 or whatever. He literally, like, his shirt's unbuttoned. Like, he looks like an absolute piece of shit.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying. It's the best money we've ever spent.
You.
Thank you so much.
No.
Gross. Okay. Graham was virulently opposed to social democracy and socialism anywhere, and especially hated the planned economy in Cuba and social democratic reforms in Venezuela. He celebrated the possible return to capitalism in Cuba by saying their days are numbered. He called Venezuela, Cuba, and Colombia the drug caliphate. As working and poor people lost the ground from under their feet in the COVID pandemic, Graham used his position to speak out repeatedly against the bare minimum stimulus. Graham claimed that the relief package would encourage working people to be lazy and unemployed. It apparently gnawed at his insides that the COVID relief bill would pay the equivalent of over $24 an hour in South Carolina versus the state minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, as the world's richest people doubled their fortunes and the incomes of billions of working people plummeted and over 160 million more were forced into poverty. Lindsey Graham strenuously opposed abortion rights, introduced numerous anti-abortion bills, and voted for every bill he could to cut social assistance for the working class and also poor families. He was a staunch opponent of trans and queer rights. He voted for the horrendous Defense of Marriage Act, scandalously voted for by a majority of Democrats and signed by Bill Clinton, and called himself a proud defender of traditional marriage. He voted against repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, voted against the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, and co-sponsored the bill against trans women in sports. So in summary, good fucking riddance to Lindsey Graham. Never forget the misery he helped create for hundreds of millions of people. Shame on Democratic Party politicians, including Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Joe Biden, who are eulogizing Lindsey Graham. Same with Amy Klobuchar. We need to build militant mass movements of the working class and build our own party to defeat the right wing, the billionaires in both their parties. That's the answer. Not let's reform the Democratic Party. It's like basically use the Democratic Party right now because it's the only thing you got, and then build something better. Anyone that's like it's weird. If you're like establishment, like I'm a Democratic Party, that's weird. Especially when the Democratic Party is supposed to exist to fight for the people, apparently, right? And then when it's clearly not, to the point where you have politicians within it that are like renowned, like the vice president and the former Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're popular, I guess. They're not just like some nobodies in the Democratic Party. And they're all eulogizing Lindsey Graham as if he was like this great person. That's the problem. And it's out of touch. But if you haven't noticed, the Democratic Party is consistently out of touch. And then when has it been in touch? Now answer me that. When has it been like in lockstep with like what the people are saying? I don't think we have much else on the ICE killing in Maine right now. I think you have a whole lot from Maine. There needs a third party. Yeah, one that can win. There already is. There's multiple individual parties, but none of them have a chance in winning. What do you got here? Updated Biddeford shooting victim was not ICE's intended target. Wow. Just posted. The man who was fatally shot in an incident involving federal immigration agents in Biddeford on Monday was not the intended target of the arrest. A spokesperson for King confirmed Monday afternoon that hours after the senator held a press conference at the Portland International Jetport, he was informed by the Department of Homeland Security, Markwayne Mullen, that the victim was not the target of the warrant. Neighbors identified the victim as Joan Sebastian Guerrero, 26-year-old man from Colombia. They haven't verified the name yet. After repeated requests, the man who was shot and killed in Biddeford on Monday morning has been identified as Joan Sebastian Guerrero, a 26-year-old originally from Colombia. Guerrero was identified by one of its neighbors who said they had spoken to a few times, pointing to Guerrero's Facebook page filled with photos of his wife and young daughter. The name was also confirmed by an immigrant advocacy organization who said they had been in touch with the family. Guerrero was shot by a federal immigration agent after he allegedly tried to flee in the officer's direction. The Maine Attorney General's office said it's not clear which agency the agent works for. He's been put on leave. So that way he can flee. Officials of the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement have not responded to repeated requests for information about the shooting, including his name. Nelson Elias, one of Guerrero's neighbors, told the Portland Press Herald that he did not know many details about Guerrero's life, but said he has a young daughter and a wife. Elias did not see the shooting. He said when he stepped out of his house across the street from the incident, he saw Guerrero's wife crying at the scene, holding her daughter's hand. Elias also said he was confident his neighbor was innocent. He said he was just trying to escape. I just know it. Nearby immigrant-friendly business empty hours after shooting. Poole Street was cordoned off for several hours. A bodega up the street didn't see customers all day until the road was opened up around 2:30 p.m., and even then only saw a few. Most of the customers coming in here are immigrants. 7 months ago, after work rush, would have brought in several customers, Montero said. Gesturing to the empty shop at 4:30 p.m. on a Monday, there was nobody. That's the other effect of these mass migration or mass immigration enforcement operations is that the businesses and the small businesses that are affected by this, especially in immigrant communities, because you don't have these absolute corporate type of buildings now than in these neighborhoods. Still, they're still holding it down with like mom and pop shops and authentic food, and not chain garbage, and not chain fast food garbage. It's actual real food. So at these places that are affected in these communities, people aren't going outside. They're staying inside because of the federal agents being out there. Bobby Charles, he's running for governor, said, "Let facts, not politics, drive our conclusions, guys. We don't have the full details yet. Anyone claiming to know exactly what happened is getting ahead of the facts." This is literally Republican response 101, just like the other guy on X. What I do know is federal agents put their lives on the line every day, often in split-second dangerous situations. All the time. The same shit. What would you do? What would you do? You have 2-3 seconds to solve. And meanwhile, the guy, you see the video of the ICE agent holding on to the door, running like alongside of the car. 2-3 seconds. It's the same cuck response from right-wingers every time. Nuh-uh, the man with the gun and the law enforcement agent is always right. That's MAGA. That's the right wing. Is that supposed to be a funny tweet? Luck said, "I've been to Biddeford, extremely quaint, cutesy little town. Honestly, hard to imagine something like this even happening there." Yeah, they have a quota to fill. Nobody read Project 2025? Trump didn't know about it, so people tuned out. Well, that's a big deal. So the latest update is that the individual shot, which again, his name was just given. So what was his name one more time? Sorry. It just gave us his name. Yeah, Joan Sebastian Guerrero. There you go. Just came in. 26-year-old man from Colombia. You got a 7 p.m. Eastern walk for peace. Interesting. Homeland Security Secretary Mullen told Senator Angus King that not the target. I hope we were posting that. What did the cops don't care? They're not going to do anything. There's thousands of people like her in the streets of DC, and everyone just steps over them, looks the other way. I thought someone had just quick while I'm waiting for more Maine news. I thought the family member of of her. Oh, it's the lady that was in the bus surrounded by Patriot Front members. 27 minutes ago, Adam Cochran, my God, he was a bystander. ICE pulled from his car, then shot him in front of his daughter, Caitlin Collins. 4:08 p.m., the individual fatally shot by federal agents in Maine on Monday was not the target. So we have revising it there. So they have to revise their statements is what. Interesting. So this is all developing, guys.
Harbor Freight Tools are working.
All this stuff is going to be a developing story as the week goes on now. So not the target. Checking my social media, making sure we're staying on top of it.
To CNN about a fatal ICE-involved shooting today in Biddeford, Maine. An immigration rights group says the man was a 26-year-old from Colombia who was authorized to work in the United States. Maine Senator Angus King says he spoke to DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin about the incident and was told that this person was the target of an immigration enforcement operation
and he's not.
And had been ordered removed from the country. King says Secretary Mullin also told him the man was shot after he allegedly tried to weaponize the vehicle he was in. The senator adding that the agents were not wearing body cameras. A witness says an ICE officer repeatedly yelled before opening fire after a car appeared to drive toward him. Another witness says the man was bleeding profusely from the head and told the officers, quote, "I tried to stop." The fatal shooting comes just days after a federal immigration enforcement officer shot and killed a Mexican immigrant during a traffic stop in Houston, sparking new calls for transparency and accountability. We're joined now by John Sandweg, former ICE acting director under President Obama. John, thanks for being with us. What questions do you have about how this particular case unfolded based on really the few facts that we know here?
Yeah, Brian, I mean, it's the same as always, right? What caused the officer to think he was in, mortal fear here of imminent bodily harm? But also, Brianna, look, this is now at least the 18th shooting involving ICE since the commencement of the Trump administration, involving someone in a vehicle, right? So what I want to know is why was the operational plan here to take this guy into custody while he was driving? Could we have done this in a way that posed less risk, not only to the individual himself, but to the ICE officers themselves?
No. See, this is the problem. That's the problem. There's going to be no reform on this. Any reformist on ICE is not even on earth of where we're at. Is there anything else they could have done? Yeah, not existed. You have untrained federal agents with the ability to do whatever the hell they want. What do you think? It's the same thing. They just need better training. Well, if they were wearing body cameras, what? Then you'd see it in 4K? The only answer is to completely abolish ICE. There is no reform with that. Okay, I don't know what my posting team is doing. I gotta probably get off stream so I can make some post. No. Okay. Well, we posted that Trump's making a speech at 9. We need to post out that this guy. Okay. I need a break. Y'all. So I'm going to take a while. I have softball tonight. So I'll be live on my softball channel. If you guys want to tune in, get a break from all this crap. You got Trump signing an executive order. Softball channel tonight, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I got 2 games tonight. Hope you guys come on over. Come and sub to my softball stuff. I have softball and gaming. Try to get you guys, if you guys want other content and whatnot. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Like and subscribe. Go and support my gaming channel. See you guys, and my softball channel. I'll see you guys later. Peace.